Gonna go live in just a minute. Okay. Where's my StreamYard? Take it. I don't have to. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Yehudis Schamroth. That's me. I'm in the rolling Judean hills of Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel. We are still in a war. It's been a year, 1 week now. Last week when we spoke, I discussed briefly that life goes on despite a war. It is winding down, I hope, but we are still fighting very hard to protect our citizens. So please pray for us here over in Israel as we protect our citizens from constant bombs. I think there's been 3,000 rockets that have been shot on us since last Wednesday with no reprieve. And our IDF, our soldiers are doing an amazing job. And we just hope that everybody stays safe. And we pray for those who lost people and pray for those who are injured. So today's topic, I always love to talk about my digestive issues. I have great digestion, actually, but I just know so many of my patients do have very bad digestive issues. So why my issue or my discussion this week has to do with what does your stool look like in elimination? Because I find that so many people find it normal that they don't go to the bathroom every day. I just, even in my years of nursing before I got into Chinese medicine and holistic health, that was a very crucial question to ask somebody. Do you eliminate every day, and how is that for you? I also just want to say too, we're going to be on Facebook. I'll have to post this up later on, but you can watch the replay of this, and welcome to all those who are watching the replay, because I know 11 o'clock in the morning is not the greatest time for everyone, but I do notice that, more and more people are watching on the replay, which is great. So thank you for doing that. So we want to talk about the fact that we know, I say over and over again, that about 80% of your immune system is in your small intestine. Used to be, again, when I was in nursing school back in the old days in the 1980s, we thought the digestive system was something completely separate from the rest of the body. And it just, was used as a trash can, basically. And we didn't know the intricate functions of it like we do now. We do now know that there's 80%, like I said, 80% of the immune system is found in the small intestine. Also found in the small intestine are all the precursors to making the neurotransmitters for your dopamines and your serotonin and everything that is responsible for good mood, elevated mood, also responsible for depression, also responsible for anxiety, ADHD. We know now that if we take good care of our digestion, it's more than important. It's just crucial. And at the same time, we're living in a world where our food is not as good as it used to be. The soil is not as rich in nutrients. We have to supplement a lot now. There's so many packaged and processed foods out there now that are so easy to choose, but they're loaded with all kinds of bad fats that really can beat up the system. Sugar that we talk about every single time. That's the most damaging thing, even more damaging than fat, which we were taught that fat was the evil, but we now know that sugar is the evil. Fat's not great for you either if you're trying to lose weight or if you have cardiac issues. It's a whole different story. But we do know now that sugar and processed foods and poor quality food is the norm now. And we talked a long time ago about the SAD diet, the standard American diet, which is loaded with all that stuff. And that's why we have so many problems now, including digestive problems. So we want to know, what is a healthy bowel movement? Okay, I ask people, do you make a BM every day? And I don't want to talk about children today because that's a whole different topic. Children's elimination is a very complicated thing, and it's different for every family and situation, and it's emotionally charged with a lot of people. So I'm going to do a whole different session. I'm going to bring a guest speaker on, a pediatrician and a holistic health pediatrician too, to discuss the elimination with children, because it's a little more, it's very important and a little bit beyond what I know. I mean, I had my own children, but luckily my children didn't have those issues. But I do know a good deal of children suffer with constipation. I do a good deal of children suffer with digestive issues from very, very young. Okay, so what is a healthy bowel movement anyway? What is a healthy BM? Let's switch over to our slideshow. I'm going to share. And on share screen. There we go. Okay. Then you don't have to watch me so much. You get to watch my slides. Okay, optimal bowel habits. We want to know, we're going to talk at the end about specific problems. And I've done webinars already on irritable bowel and that whole thing, and anti-inflammatory diets and all that. So I'm going to mention that, but this is more just on a regular person, how to optimize your bowel habits. So you can ease your digestive problems, whatever they are. And if you even have very big problems, you can also help those. So in order to be healthy, we need to eliminate every single day on a daily basis. And ideally, of course, it should be right after you wake up, and maybe even once or twice more during the day. But if this is not your situation, there are several simple steps you can take to correct this problem. So let's first of all know that stool is about 75% water. So we know we have to drink a lot of water. And hydration, when people come to me with constipation, the first thing I say to them, are you drinking enough? And over here in Israel, we live in the desert. So I want people to drink, 1.5 liter a day. No, that's not enough. We have to drink 3 liters a day. Sounds crazy. And again, if you're a cardiac patient, you can't do a fluid overload. I would not recommend that you talk to your physician or your health caretaker, and you decide what is the right amount of fluid for you. And of course, children drink less. Pregnant women should drink a lot, but we can figure that out when we talk about individual situations. But basically, hydration is the biggest cause for so many problems we have, including headaches and fatigue and things like this. Hydration is just really cleansing for the body, and we're going to talk about that later. But through the digestive system in particular, we know the stool is about 75% water. So it's no surprise that really a normal bowel movement should be smooth. It should be soft. It should be semi-formed. It should come out in one long piece. It shouldn't come out in little fragments. It should be kind of light brown in color, and should have an odor to it, but not really a disgusting odor. It shouldn't be green, and it shouldn't be purple, and it shouldn't be a lot of different colors that we do see. There shouldn't be any undigested food in it. So there's something called the Bristol Stool Chart, which was developed in England, where I don't have that. There it is. Let's talk about that. The Bristol Stool Chart talks about these are the types of stool that one could have and what it might possibly mean. So if you're here's type 1, type 2, all the way down to type 7. So type 1, you can see if you're very constipated, that means you don't have enough fluid in your system to get this down, or enough fiber. So you might get little balls of pellets of hard little pellets of stool. The next type is the lumpy, and it's a sausagey like. It doesn't it sticks together, but it means there's some slight constipation going on. Sausage shape that cracks in the surface could be normal, and also a smooth, like they say, sausage shape or snake shape. It doesn't, but if it's very, very skinny, by the way, you have to be careful, because people with tumors in their intestines do have what they call pencil thin stools. So you have to be careful. It's not like a spaghetti string. If it's something like that, you must have some kind of bowel obstruction or some kind of obstruction, maybe even from constipation going on. It might not even be a tumor. It could be a polyp. It could be constipation. We do hear that the stool stays in your system for years, and it causes all kinds of problems. I've spoken to many gastroenterologists about this issue. You cannot have stool in your system for years. It doesn't work. You would be dead. It's so toxic to the body. However, having said that, if you have diverticulitis or some of the problems like this, there's little pockets that form in the intestinal system that do hold on to bacteria. And this is how we get set up for inflammation in a lot of cases. So you can know that the people can become ill from infections and all kinds of different organisms that do hang around for a long time that are deathly to you. And if you don't get it cleansed out, you will end up with irritable bowel and Crohn's disease and all those things. If you're not already born with it, I'm saying you can develop those things. Okay, going down the chart, soft blobs with clear-cut edges. That's you lacking fiber. Type 6, mushy consistency. And type 7, liquidy, and even diarrhea and different color, very light color. That's pretty much a sign that you have an inflamed bowel. So these are just general things. And if you feel like you have any of these things and you want to discuss these, go see your regular doctor and discuss it, or your functional medicine practitioner, or your nurse, acupuncturist, Chinese medicine herbalist like me, and let's discuss it so we can see what's going on with you and see if there's something we can do to help this, because this is, again, just a general scale, but it gives you some indication of what's going on, because you want to have a normal bowel movement at least once a day, light brown, all one piece, kind of slides right out. That's the dream, isn't it, everybody? But we do know that people suffer quite a lot from constipation. It's like the huge problem. I'm going to talk about that more than anything later on. Okay, so the whole point, of course, of the body is to remove the toxic residues in the body. And if you're not having a daily bowel movement, the toxins will stay inside your body, and they will end up leaking back into your bloodstream, which is awful. And this is where we get the term leaky gut from, because you have permeability to the tissues where they usually don't let certain toxins in and out of the body or in the bloodstream, and the body becomes so inflamed that like holes develop in your intestinal system, in the lining, and it lets everything pass through, all the toxic substances. And so that's how people get leaky gut, and they end up with all kinds of other inflammatory problems. And it's very damaging and very, very unsettling and very painful for a lot of people. So what I know when I talk to people about their digestion, I say, how's your digestion? And a lot of people say good, but you have to ask even further, because people often do not have a good digestion. I can see it on your tongue, actually, when I do a tongue diagnosis. I can see if people have digestive issues just by looking at your tongue. But anyway, the overload of the toxins can overload the liver and cause problems everywhere. We've discussed this before, with mood, with energy levels, with sleep, with digestion, and even depression and anxiety. So, and of course, if you have small children, like I said, that'll be a different discussion. You want to make sure, everybody always talks, has your baby pooped? It's not just so cute when they're babies, but it's really important to get rid of all the toxins in their body every single day. So one of the things that I see when I have clients coming to me, and I know this contributes to poor habits, of course, is eating in a rush. Okay. If you're having a lack of presence while you're eating, it's a disconnection. It's a disconnection from what you're actually doing. So if you're eating while you're driving, or eating while you're working, or even while you're watching a video or something, you're not paying attention to if you're full or not. This is a thing. If you're sitting down at a meal, you're more likely, at a table, undistracted, and just even having a pleasant conversation, you're much more likely to pay attention to the fact that you've had enough to eat, and you don't overdo it. I know when people have irregular bowel movements, they think it's normal. I have people come to me. I had a person bring their child to me, said he's had diarrhea since he's 4. And how old is he now? 13. So he said diarrhea since he's 13. Since he's 4 and now he's 13. I said, what did your doctor say? And they said, oh, they haven't done anything. Or in one case, the mother didn't even take the child to be looked into. She had like 12 children, and she just couldn't have the time. I felt so bad. I just insisted on a workup, and sure enough, the boy had parasites, and it was very easily taken care of. And the poor kid suffered for all those years because you had something terrible going on. So pay attention. If you have irregular bowel movements, it's not something, it becomes normal for people, like headaches become normal for people, and things like even menopause, it's normal. No, it doesn't have to be. According to Chinese medicine, especially, and I'm a big Western medicine believer, but I love to combine the two. You don't have to live with these problems. You can do something about it. And a lot of it has to do with changing your diet. Okay, so don't ignore any of your digestive problems at all. You don't have to run to the doctor every 5 minutes. I don't mean be a hypochondriac. I mean to just pay attention. If you have excess gas or diarrhea or excess bloating or belching, or if you feel exhausted all the time after you eat, or if you're having abdominal pain, these are signs that there is some kind of imbalance in your body, and you just have to pay attention to it. The body is very good at telling itself what you need. We just don't always pay attention to the signs. So normal doesn't mean that you should tolerate it. Okay. There are lab tests out there that you can find out. And again, healthy elimination, according to all different types of medicine, whether you're Chinese medicine or whether you're Western medicine or Ayurvedic, which is Indian medicine, healthy elimination occurs at least once a day, 2 times a day. You want to have balanced stools. You want to maintain the shape. I'm repeating this because it's important. Some of the studies say that they should be able to float in the toilet. I don't know if it sinks to the bottom, there's something more heavy and more toxic about that stool. It's oily, but not sticky. But in any case, this is the reality. This is not always the reality for everyone else, but this is what we're trying to work towards. And we do live very fast-paced and stressful lives. And we do eat a lot of processed foods, and we do a lot of multitasking. So eating on the run is something that we do way too often, but we want to truly try to pay attention to what they call mindful eating. But this is not a joke. Mindful eating is so important to do, and it'll cure a lot of your problems. And make sure you have enough fluid intake, and make sure you eat the right minerals and fruits and vegetables. So, try to, everybody's aware of what a nutritious food is and what it isn't. But if you're not allowing your body to ingest it properly, or if you're not paying attention to it when it's not functioning properly, over time, it does develop many, many problems. So let's go to the next. Oh, you want to have a happy poop. Okay, these are the recommendations for regular people who don't have problems at the moment, but you can prevent. You can really, I'm a big believer in preventative medicine. This is one way to prevent. Optimal elimination recommendations. So you want to keep well hydrated. And again, we talked about it's different for everybody, but if you're a person who's tending to be thirsty all the time, just drink more and pay attention. The stool and the urine will tell you where you're holding. So if you're having very dark urine and very little of it, you're dehydrated. I mean, it could be something else going on too, but if we're just talking a healthy person here, if you have a very, orangey dark urine, you're not on a medication giving that urine an orange color, then you need more fluid. If you have headaches, if you're tired, if you're having very bad constipation suddenly out of nowhere, try the water thing first. It really, really does help. And follow your hunger. What does that mean? Following your hunger means you should eat up to your capacity, and while you're paying attention to it. Don't overeat, and push the food away when you've met your limit, and then to have something to drink afterwards. And there's a whole different philosophies about drinking during eating and not drinking during eating. I'm going to bring somebody here to talk about that. We do know people do believe that you should not drink at all during eating, because then you fill yourself up with the fluid and you don't get the right amount of nutrients, or the nutrients get diluted with the water or the soda or whatever you're drinking. You shouldn't drink soda anyway, but just drink water and tea. But in any case, if you need to drink during the meal, just make sure you're really hungry before you eat and you're not really thirsty or something else. Okay, eat appropriate quantities. Overeating is something we're very used to in our Western world. We have supersized everything. I think I discussed one week that I bought some plates that matched the plates that my grandmother gave me, and they were beautiful plates from England, and I wanted the exact same pattern. And the plates that I bought were almost twice the size that the ones that she owned in the 1930s. And it wasn't because of any other reason than we just want to eat more food, and because we were opulent society. We, for the most part, we are able to, so we do. And that's not the way to go about eating. We don't have to starve ourselves, and we don't have to take anything out of our diets unless it's hurting you, really. But it doesn't mean it's off limits forever. We just want to make sure we keep it adequate. Okay, you want to try to do some meditation to reduce stress. Stress is the worst contributor to all kinds of health problems, especially digestive. Starts when kids are little and they have, tummy aches before they go to school, or, people just get stressed out when they have a big meeting or they're going to make a big decision or something like this. Just try to de-stress yourself as best as possible. We're in a war situation right now, and we just came off of Corona and COVID. It's been very difficult for Israelis to reduce our stress, but we're doing it and we're carrying on. And thank God we're doing the best that we can, and God is helping us. Okay, adding fiber to your diet. I'm going to discuss that in a little bit. You want to make sure you have a lot of things that have fiber, like, apples and fruits that have the fiber in them, and all kinds of grains, and a lot of vegetables like butternut squash. There's a lot of really good high fiber foods that help move things along. And there are supplements that are natural you can take that are something called psyllium. It's actually a corn husk. They call it nature's broom. It kind of brushes everything right down the system for you. You can take natural supplements. I hate to see people stuck on Metamucils and all that stuff in order to go. It's really a shame, because you can do it with food. I mean, when you get to a point where it's really impossible to go to the bathroom, then that's when you really need to see somebody. That's not normal living, by the way. Okay, now also it's recommended to give yourself time to go to the bathroom. Listen to your body. If you have to go, please stop and go. Don't hold it for 2 hours. I remember even with urine too, I used to hold everything because I just didn't want to run all the time. And my husband used to say, "Why are you doing that to yourself? You're going to hold all the toxins in your body, and you're gonna make yourself miserable." Your body is telling you something to just eliminate. So take that time, find that bathroom, whatever you have to do, take the time to go. And nobody knows how to spend time in the bathroom more than a man. I don't know how they do that. I guess they probably just don't have as much to do as we do. I always admire those people that can take the newspaper and go sit in the bathroom for half an hour. I never could. But again, I've never really had any elimination problems. But, there's got to be some nice balance between doing it so quickly or never going at all, and sitting in there for 45 minutes. I don't know. Okay, so you want to address any kind of imbalances, like I said. And then the strategies, of course, we're going to go through the strategies. I wanted to say something about the digestion, but anyway, let me see. I got my slides out of order. So I wanted to make a quick mention about the microbiome. We did a whole session on this. The microbiome is all the bacteria in your body that covers everything from your skin to your mouth, to your lips, all the way down your body, inside your body, the digestive system in particular. And it's affected by different things. So this is what we were talking about. We want to have a good, healthy start to our lives to begin with. So if you're going to be nursing the baby, that's the best way to give that baby those nice, healthy bacteria that they need to digest. It depends on where you live. Some countries in the world have a lot of parasites and toxins in their waters and stuff. It's terrible for them. They start off their life with very difficult digestions already. Stress and psychological stress and physical stress. Also, they do affect your microbiome, which is that whole wonderful, healthy bacteria that takes care of you. And the birthing process itself, it's a very good place to pick up all the bacteria. So if you have a C-section or something, it's not a bad thing. Your baby's okay. Thank God it's still a natural birth because you're having a baby. But you do get more prepared for good, healthy bacteria if you have a vaginal birth for your baby. I just want to mention that. And also we know the microbiome, the functions. We talked about everything's in the small intestine in particular. We want to really take good care of our digestive health, especially the lower bowels. Influences mental health. It promotes skin health. It helps you digest your food. It helps protect you against toxins, and it boosts your immune system, which is particularly important right now. All right, what else did I miss talking about? Just was going to talk about the digestion itself. Okay, the digestive tract itself, starts with the mouth. It goes all the way down, all the digestive, the stomach, where the food sits and starts to break up, and the pancreas adds, and the bile adds from the liver, and all the way down. We want to make sure if we have any issues anywhere down the line, you want to just report that. Just keep a note of it. Maybe keep a journal at first, because if you think there's something wrong with your elimination, but you're not 100% sure, keep a journal for about a month, and then you'll see if there are any problems or anything you should address. Because you don't want to run to the doctor for everything. So many things you can do on your own. Okay, so let's talk about what's on the next slide here. Okay, so one of the biggest problems, of course, let's talk about a couple problems when you have a bad digestion. People have chronic constipation. I don't even know how they can do it. I really don't. But it happens to so many different people that I know. And every other patient that comes in the office, constipation. Now, I'm not talking about alternating constipation and diarrhea, which is irritable bowel and that kind of thing, which I will address later on. But constipation is a very big problem with people these days. A lot of us, we're on the run. We're not drinking enough water. We're eating all those processed foods. Okay, here's what you can do, okay? We're going to talk about constipation. Why is that such a big deal, okay? Because when it's left over in your body, I want to just keep reiterating this. It's poison in your body. If you don't go to the bathroom, if you don't have a BM every day, you're not taking the trash out in your house. You wouldn't leave your garbage in your house for 3 or 4 days. You wouldn't do it. And I have several people who come to me and say, I go maybe once a week or twice a week. And I'm in total shock. I don't know how they can sleep at night in terms of just comfort. I don't know how they can really function during the day, because if you don't have a healthy bowel, and if you feel like you're bloated and you're not eliminating all those toxins in your body, it wreaks havoc on every single system. So it really is a big deal, okay? And when you don't consume enough fiber and water, especially, the muscles in the colon aren't able to contract properly either, and the stool will just sit there, and it'll move slowly, and they'll lose more water because it'll get absorbed. So the stool becomes dry and difficult to eliminate. So, and when it remains in the intestines longer than it should, the byproduct material, which are the toxins, get reabsorbed in your body. So you have toxins floating around your skin and in your blood vessels and everything else. And then you're going to end up with bloating and inability to lose weight if that's what you're trying to do. You will have fatigue. You will have sleep disturbances. You will have depression and anxiety, or possibly, you may not necessarily, but you may have any of these things. You may have hormonal imbalances. So if you're not having a minimum daily bowel movement, please pay attention to that. And if you have constipation, here's how we can end that constipation, okay? We want to add fiber to your diet. So let's look at the fiber slide. What are the fiber slides? Fiber. You can have bananas, oranges, apples, all kinds of fruits, butternut squash, corn, broccoli, grains, whole grains especially, and even have pastas and things like that. If you're trying to lose weight, you want to stay away from those, and beans and nuts and seeds, okay? So those things, you just want to be careful about the calories, obviously, if you're trying to lose weight. But if you can have all these things and incorporate them, avocados in particularly, very, very good. Okay, so here's what we want to do for constipation. Hydration, and of course, give yourself time to go to the bathroom, as I mentioned. And so patients, of course, say they've been having constipation for such a long time. This is the wrong one. Go back to fiber. And people struggle with this constipation thing. So what we know about constipation, again, too, is it's really more serious than you think. So these hardened and impacted layers can block absorption of nutrients in your body. And it's been said there's 63 million people in the world suffer from constipation. And while constipation might be common, it's not normal. Okay, please, it's just not normal. Please know that if you have constipation, I don't know what the determining factor is, but if you're suffering for more than a month or two with this, you need to check it out. And you need to correct this, okay? Because that's not the worst of it. When the toxic substances spill into the bloodstream, they accumulate into very dangerous levels, and your immune system is completely destroyed. And then it launches a massive attack on these toxins. And then you end up with autoimmune situations because your body's attacking itself. So every organ can be affected over time. And the worsening toxicity will weaken your immune system. This is trying to help you fight against toxins. So if it persists, you can have a poisonous body. Okay. And having a healthy digestion every day will prevent this. Okay. So those are just the practical problems, okay? So let's talk about eating whole foods, real foods, unprocessed foods, lots of fiber. We used to eat less fiber, I think, maybe in the old days because we had a more wholesome digestive system and a more wholesome diet in the old days. I would say even times of our grandparents, they would eat maybe 100 to 150 grams of fiber a day, and now we're lucky if we get 8 grams. We're lucky if we get that. So we have to really sometimes supplement, or we have to just try and maybe have some flaxseed in our diet. But you got to be careful. You don't take things that cause insulin spikes. You want to make sure you don't, if you have to watch your blood sugar. Now the problems that can even aggravate constipation are things like dairy and gluten. They just do aggravate it, just so you know, even if you're not allergic. So you can challenge yourself to 3 weeks of off of dairy and off gluten to see if it makes a difference in your overall health and in your constipation. Okay. High-fat diet is very funny because people are afraid of it, but that's really the best diet for somebody with constipation. They say check your magnesium and vitamin C levels. If people tend to be very low in magnesium and vitamin C, they tend more to constipation. Make sure you take a good probiotic. I tell people this all the time. And the fiber is a prebiotic food that feeds the probiotic good bacteria in your system. So, of course, I always recommend a combination probiotic, which is a prebiotic and a probiotic together in one pill, and taking that every day. Again, we didn't always need supplements. When I was a kid in the 1970s and 80s and even in the 90s, we didn't talk about supplements, but we really need them now. I think most people do agree. I take a probiotic every day. And again, I don't really have any problems, but I do take them. And the dairy and the gluten and the low-fat diet are really they're triggers almost to constipation. And, exercise is a very, very good thing to do because exercise gets the peristalsis or that movement going in your body. So all these things overall, if you suffer with constipation and it's not too severe yet, do all these things and you will see a big improvement. And also you want to eat some smart, healthy fats. There's something called, MCT oil. I forgot to mention that. MCT oil is the liquid form of coconut oil. Coconut oil gets solid at room temperature. Coconut oil is extremely healthy fat. I actually put a tablespoon of coconut oil in my coffee every morning and I love it. I blend it up. It's kind of frothy. You have to drink it quickly because it gets a little oily on the top and you have to be used to that. My kids think it's gross. I love it. I look forward to my coffee every morning and I have no problems with constipation. I swear by my coconut oil every single day. And if I have 2 coffees a day, even better. I have my 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. And but MCT is the oil form and you can just use that in cooking. A lot of people go to iHerb in Israel and they buy bottles of MCT oil and they cook with it instead of any other oil. It's very, very healthy. And they don't have to wait for the coconut oil to be at room temperature where it's liquidy. Flax seeds are very, very good to get the digestion going and break up the constipation. They're very lubricating, as are wild fatty fish, sardines, salmon, olive oil, and they all lubricate the digestive system, and also avocado. So remember, incorporate these into your diet as well, and you'll have a really good digestion, God willing. Okay, let's talk a minute about the problems with diarrhea, because that's the opposite. Okay, I'm going to go through. I have a lot of papers here. I just can't talk about everything, but I can talk about a lot of things. Okay, so again, constipation, you can almost clear it up with all those different recommendations. Okay, so irritable bowel syndrome and irritable bowel disease, they're interchangeable a little bit. One's more inflammatory than the other. These are digestive problems. They're usually hallmarked by diarrhea, which again is not a normal state of being. You should not be having diarrhea every day of your life for 2 or 3 years. It's just not normal. And people, it becomes normal to them because that's the way their body is. So you have to get a proper GI workup. You really have to figure out, like this little boy who came to me, I begged his mother to take him to a GI doctor. And I am not somebody who pushes doing this, but when you even with working with alternative medicine, you need to know what you're dealing with. So even if people come to me with severe knee and back pain, I say, go get an MRI so we can see what we're dealing with. And then we can help get you healthy from the inside out, which is what Chinese medicine does, and alternative approaches in combination with Western. That's why they work so well together, because the Western makes the diagnosis in a medical way that you can work with that. And the Eastern diagnosis looks at the root cause of things, and you put those together and you can really do some fantastic healing for people. I just love that we're living in this generation where both are being very much more accepted than they used to be, using together, that is. Okay, so what the bottom line on people who have digestive issues with irritable bowel, leaky gut, SIBO, which is a small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which is a horrible thing. The bacterial that's supposed to stay in the small intestine escapes, basically. It's like one of those toxins that gets into the bloodstream, causes people terrible, terrible diarrhea, cramps, and digestive problems, lifelong sometimes. Candida is a big, big problem. I see people, they say they don't have any digestion, they don't have any candida, and then I see that their toenails are fungal and coming out. So you think, they have some kind of chronic dampness, what we call it in Chinese medicine. There's a damp condition where the microorganisms just love to grow. And that could be like women who have the yeast infections, anything from that to the toenail fungus and that kind of stuff. And that's not normal either, by the way. People learn to live with that. But these are things we can really correct with changing your eating and getting to the root cause of what's happening. So here are some of the recommendations for people with these things, and also Crohn's disease and things I didn't mention. So you want to get a proper GI workup. You want to check your CRP, which is your indicator in your blood for inflammatory. It's an inflammatory marker. You just want to see where it is. And then take a couple of them in a row, a couple months in a row, and see what the trend is, okay? They recommend for these people, over the ones that have constipation, take the digestive enzymes. And you can get those anywhere. The really good brands anywhere. You can ask your practitioners, or you can just do your own research. Digestive enzymes are they're very popular now because they work really well. You want to remove processed and sugary foods. You want to eat an anti-inflammatory diet. We've talked about that, and I'll show a slide in a minute. Fermented foods, the fermented foods replace the good bacteria in your system. So we're talking about sauerkraut and pickles, and anything that you want to ferment is fantastic. The kefir and all those things. I did a whole webinar on that. You can look on YouTube for all this stuff, or you can look on YouTube of anybody's YouTube, so they're there. Probiotics, again, are very good at just on a daily basis, just keeping those good bacteria in a higher level than the bad bacteria are. And again, exercise and hydration is a recommendation for anybody. So these are the kind of recommendations that will really help improve your system. And again, the diarrhea is not a normal state of mind. You should not tolerate that. You should try to work it out. Okay, here's inflammatory diets. These are foods that increase inflammation. What are they? Gluten. And I'm not saying gluten is a bad thing. Gluten is great. It's just that if you're sensitive to it, you know what I mean? You really have to figure out what your body's sensitive to. And in fact, there's, I didn't make a slide, but I wanted to. There are some things you want to do. You want to eliminate anything that are triggers that are causing your irritable bowel or your Crohn's disease, or aggravating it, or causing all kinds of the SIBO and all those terrible digestive. You want to address food allergies, basically. You want to see if there are any food allergies. You want to get rid of processed foods. I didn't make a slide. I was going to do that. But anyway, this is the gut imbalances, the small imbalances that you notice, like the constipation and alternating diarrhea and all these different muscle or abdominal cramps. They can be leading you to irritable bowel. You're not born with it. People are not born with these autoimmune diseases. It's a messing up your immune system. You have to keep it in check right away. Otherwise, you will end up with you will end up with SIBO. You will end up with irritable bowel and these kinds of things. You will end up with candida overgrowth. Very hard to get rid of these, by the way. So if you go to your practitioner, you have to be realistic. I just have to tell you now, people want to be cured right away. They want to come to me for 3 acupuncture treatments and 1 month of treatment, and they often don't come back because they think, oh, I want to be done already, because we live in an instant fix society. It's the one very distressing thing about this field that I chose, is that it's a real process. It takes a while. It took a while for you to get this way. It's going to take a while for you to clean up your system again. So again, what causes inflammation? Gluten, casein, which are like additive products to preservatives. All these oils on the counter that I used to love to use, safflower, sunflower, they're all very toxic oils, actually. Processed meats I love them. They're not good for you. I love hot dogs. I love bologna and salamis. I love that stuff, but they're terrible for you because all kinds of additives. They can increase inflammation in your body. And of course, fried foods, Meat and dairy, and this is not for everybody, but you have to find out which are the sensitivities for your body. Syrup, soft drinks are the worst. Sugar, it says sugar beats up the system. It punches holes in everything. Now, you can eliminate inflammation by eating more nuts, avocado. All these things are anti-inflammatory. Spinach, there's a lot more to. This is not by any means the whole list. Cherries, olive oil, orange vegetables and fruits. Pineapples are very good, also good for lung health. Turmeric, ginger, onions, anything that's anti-inflammatory, you should be eating very regularly in your diet. Okay, what else? What else? Okay, the last thing I want to say in summary is if you're somebody that struggles with digestion, please try to take care of it. Try to pay attention to it right away. And, make yourself a little bit of a log book. No pun intended. Make a log book and so go with information to your doctor or to your practitioner to say, look, here's what I've been noticing. And even if it's been all your life, you want to get to the bottom of this and you want to feel better. You do not have to live the rest of your life like this. Having said that, you probably wonder why I didn't mention detoxes and cleanses. So maybe, you're wondering why you have done detoxes and cleanses and they haven't done much for you in the long term. Okay, I didn't mention them because I do believe in detoxes and I do believe in cleanses. In fact, I'm going to go on a 4-day liver cleanse for myself right now because I really feel like I need to reset my clock. And what it does, it removes cravings for me and it's drinking really healthy soups and stuff. If you want to join me, just PM me and I'll get you on it too. It's just for 3 or 4 days. I just want to reset my clock and rest my digestion. And again, I don't have problems, but I'm trying to lose some weight. It's been with a stalemate there. I figure if I do this. Okay, but I'm just telling you that some people are really relying on these cleanses on a regular basis for years, and they even end up being in the same place where they were before. Now, there's such a thing in Chinese medicine and also Western medicine too, but they don't discuss it as much. And that's the concept of having a constitution that you're born with. What kind of constitution does your body have to begin with? So if you're a person who's had a lifelong issue with digestive problems, for example, you maybe were born like that. It could have been genetic. It could have been a family history thing. It could have been, it can be lifestyle and diet related also. But some people are just stronger than other people in certain areas of their lives. Just like you, some people are stronger physically, or some people are stronger emotionally or mentally. Some people are smarter than each other. Everybody's got their different gifts, We're born with our own pekala. We say this in Jewish world, our own little package. And we're all have our own individuality. So you might have been one of those people that were born with a very poor constitution when it comes to digestive issues. Tummy troubles from day one. Maybe you were a baby that was always throwing up until today. I have this, I hear this all the time. He was the kind of baby that was throwing up constantly, and now he's a 10-year-old kid who has tummy troubles all the time. So this kid, diet's really not going to be the thing for him that's going to make his system better. Why? Because his constitution is not accepting. And the poor people, it starts as childhood. I know so many people who eat the right food, who exercise, who meditate, who they do everything right. They drink enough water. They don't eat any processed foods, no dairy, no meat, no whatever. And they are still suffering. Now, why is that? Because their constitution is very weakened in that area. So what I want to tell you is to give a little plug for Chinese medicine here, because what we do is we look at that. We look at the root cause of why you're having all these issues and why haven't you improved over the years? Why haven't cleanses helped you? And why haven't the detoxes helped you for a long term? Well, it's because we need to get your digestion back up to a working order by decreasing the inflammation, maybe getting rid of parasites, maybe getting rid of funguses and things like that. And herbal medicines, I find, are very, very successful. And they're not long-term. They're a few months. You do maybe up to 6 months. Chinese medicines, acupuncture, and I know I'm giving a little commercial for this, but it's really true. This is where I see the most success with people, is they focus on their digestive health, and they do it along the lines of Chinese medicine. They get rid of the prednisones, and they get rid of all their medications. It's amazing. And they can really start eating things again that they never could eat before. Or look at the poor people who could only go to certain restaurants because they eat the same 10 things. My heart goes out to these people. So anyway, if you want to have a Chinese herbal medicine consult, I'll tell you what we can do for you. It helps. Here's what Chinese medicine can do for you. Okay. If you have regular digestion that just needs to be topped up a little bit and tuned up, or if you have a very severe problem, regardless of whatever it is, you can come to us, and we want to make sure we can help regulate your digestion. This is what acupuncture does, and the herbs. Plants have an affinity for different parts of the body. So there's some plants that are good for digestive health in particular, like these are here on the screen. Some are for brain health, or some are for bone, help build bone up and everything. So that's why I always recommend people do acupuncture and Chinese herbs together. But in any case, so your constitution has a lot to do with it. We can't change your constitution, but we can improve it. We can optimize it. And the food and the changes will help, but it's not always going to be the fix for everybody. So your herbal medicines and your supplements and all that, they will be greatly improved and help you hang on to your nutrients a lot more and make them more accessible to your body. By, this is the acupuncture again, and the Chinese medicine regulates bowel. It helps assist in release of hormones and neurotransmitters. It reduces abdominal pain and bloating. We can stabilize stress and anxiety that contribute to all these things, and just help you have a good overall digestion and sleep. So just to end up, I just want to tell you have things in your home that you can use to just improve your digestion. I had some this morning. I didn't feel so well this morning. I had a little upset stomach and a headache, terrible headache when I woke up. I didn't think I was going to be able to do this podcast today. Anyway, so here, ginger. I made fresh ginger in hot water, and I drank that with some mint, and I just felt immediately great. My stomach totally settled down. Cinnamon, also, you can that'll help your digestion. Cinnamon these are warming and moving herbs, they call them in Chinese medicine, and they're anti-inflammatory. Also, you can use turmerics and that kind of thing too. Black pepper, it helps just move things along. And bitters, anything that's bitter in Chinese medicine will also help your digestion along, like even like oranges and lemons and limes. That's why they tell people to start their morning off every day with some lemon water, because it's a little bit controversial, but mostly people agree that it has a very cleansing effect, and it's also got a very good astringent effect on your digestion. It cleans things out very well, and it tightens it up, so it tightens the junction, so you don't have that leaky bowel stuff. So cloves are good. Their black tea. These are all good. The fennel is what they serve. In the old days when I didn't keep kosher, I go to Indian restaurants. They always had a fennel at the on the way out the door in a basket. You could grab a handful or a teaspoonful of fennel in a little cup, and you'd munch down it on the way out the door, and it just helped. If you ate too much, it was fantastic. Fennel is good to put in soups. All these things you can put in soups and stews, and just sprinkle on toast, it says here, whatever you want to do. So again, just know that natural way is a good way to go. And I encourage you to look at everything. And if you have any disturbances, try to nip them in the bud. That's always the best way. Early intervention, whether you have a toothache or whether you're trying to lose weight or get a kid in therapy, or whether you're trying to fix your digestion, early intervention is always the key. Nip it in the bud. Take care of it before it becomes too bad. And with that, I'll say goodbye to everybody, and I hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful, healthy week. Thanks for joining.